A big Brexiteer warning went out to Boris Johnson last week. Did you hear about it? Probably not, which is why I'm here to provide the alternative here on the Westminster channel. So guys, if you support what I do here, please start off by giving this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future reports. And of course, if you want to support my work, share this video and click that join button to become a supporter. Now, what I'm referring to is a very interesting poll that came out last week. Now, I know some of you will say, well, polls don't matter. Actually, they do, and I'll explain a bit further on in this video why that's the case. But a real warning shot to the likes of Boris Johnson and the Conservatives, and something that I would be looking at very closely if I were them. Now, full disclosure, for those that aren't aware, I was one of the Brexit Party MEPs, but I really want to analyse this not from a party political point of view, but I just want to analyse this as straight down the middle as possible, because I think it's really interesting. What it shows is that the Brexit Party, which has been somewhat active, but obviously not campaigning anywhere near full steam as it has done in the past, is nearly polling at the same level as the Liberal Democrats. Now, of course, the Liberal Democrats have just had a leadership election. They're on TV. They're in the media nearly every day. And of course, the Brexit Party does have Richard Tice and Nigel Farage, who have, high media profiles. The Lib Dems, having just had a leadership election, are almost level on the polls with the Brexit Party. Now, Nigel Farage today has said if we do a deal on the basis of a new EU treaty, there are issues that will come back to haunt us in the years ahead. Come on, Boris Johnson, let's have a clean break Brexit. And there's this YouGov poll, which, as I said, if I was around Boris Johnson, the Conservative Party, I would certainly be looking at very closely, that was conducted on Wednesday and Thursday of last week by YouGov, that finds the Conservatives do lead. They're on 39%, Labour on 38%, the Lib Dems on 6%, the Green Party on 6%, the SNP on 5%, and the Brexit Party on 5%, which is the highest poll rating I've seen for the Brexit Party in a while. Now, let's not get carried away here. 5% is 5%. But what it does show you, and I'll go through the figures in a minute, is that the Conservatives cannot take Brexiteer support for granted. They, of course, received the benefit of the doubt, and the Brexit Party stood down in Conservative-held seats, including in the seat I was planning to stand in, because it was the right thing to do in the national interest to help Boris Johnson get that big Brexit majority. But let's delve into these numbers further, because there's some really interesting statistics in this from YouGov. When you look at who is now planning to vote for the Brexit Party, and of course it's 5% nationally, as I said, when you break it down, it comes out as 8% of those who voted Conservative in 2019 now are backing the Brexit Party. So nearly 10% of those who voted Tory at the back end of 2019 have now switched allegiance to the Brexit Party, for the time being at least. That includes 9% of 2016 voters. So what you're talking about here is nearly 10%, or getting on for 10% of people that voted Conservative at the last general election are now saying they support the Brexit Party. And nearly, as I said, nearly 10% of Leave voters, 2016 Leave voters, also saying that they now plan to vote for the Brexit Party. As I said, the Brexit Party has been doing bits and pieces, but to have this level of support for the level of activity seems very high to me, and shows you that there's a level of support. It shows you that Brexiteers are willing and looking at going back to the Brexit Party. Interestingly, 9% of Remain voters, and obviously we see the Liberal Democrats in the media all the time, the 9% of Remainers are planning to vote Lib Dem. That's the same proportion of Leave voters in this YouGov poll planning to vote for the Brexit Party. So it's 9% of Remainers planning to vote Lib Dem and 9% of Leavers planning to vote Brexit Party in this poll. Also, quite interestingly, the Brexit Party is on 12% with 18 to 24-year-olds, although the sample is less than 200, so I'm not sure it's reliable, but just something to note that is in there. Now, the Conservatives are still ahead of Labour, which I would be at pains to point out, because I do think some of the media narrative around Sir Keir Starmer gets a bit carried away at times. The fact is, really, as the opposition party, you'd be pretty disappointed to be Labour now and not be in front. And I think it shows you the long-term damage that the Labour Party have seemed to be massively out of touch with much of the country. So that's important to point out the Conservatives are still leading in this poll, but only just by 1%. Of those who voted Conservative in 2019, at the 2019 general election, 83% in this poll say that they are still with the party, i.e. 17% in total of those who voted Conservative in 2019 are now saying that they don't plan to vote for the party as it stands, including, as I said, 8% of Conservative 2019 voters now saying they support the Brexit Party. When you look at who would make the best Prime Minister, when people are asked that question, Keir Starmer is leading, 35% versus Boris Johnson, 29%, and don't know, 33%. Now, I can already hear it already, guys. Lots of people saying, why does this matter, Michael, that we've just had a general election? Well, it does matter. It really does matter, because for a number of reasons. But from an electoral point of view, consider this. There were some delayed elections because of the pandemic. So next year, the 2021 elections, how does this sound for a bumper set of elections? You're going to have elections to the Welsh Parliament, the Scottish Parliament, you're going to have Police and Crime Commissioner elections, you're going to have the London mayoral race, the London Assembly, and a huge number of local council elections, including 151 councils and 13 directly elected mayors. So a huge number of elections next year. And of course, that coincides with the end of the transition period, of course, at the end of this year. So why does this all matter? Well, because we hear two separate things, don't we? We hear on the one hand, Boris Johnson, and by the way, I should also point out that Boris Johnson's statement on no deal was made after this poll was conducted. So that may have shifted some people, let's see. But what this shows, that what some people are talking about, which is a sort of choreographed charade in terms of negotiations between the UK and the EU, ending in some rollover sellout by the UK government towards the end, would actually clearly see, I think, a Brexiteer surge to the Brexit Party and away from the Conservative Party. And it's important, I think, that the Conservative government don't take that support as being nailed down for them. At the same time, if they do hold firm and go for a clean break, it shows you, for instance, if they took back, just from this poll, all of that 5% from the Brexit Party, they would go from having a 1% lead over the Labour Party as it stands to having a 6% lead. And they may also take back some support that's gone elsewhere or not planning to vote at all. Just to make the point, guys, because I do really enjoy your comments. Unlike other media organisations, I don't just sort of ignore what you guys say. I'm really interested and engaged to see, whether you agree with what I say or not, what your perspective is. So thanks a lot for getting involved and commenting. I just want to pick up on a couple of comments, on a couple of the most popular comments that were made in the video I did where Boris talked about no deal. Well, we talked about Boris's statement on no deal. Phil Diamond said, "Don't betray us, Boris. Leave now," on WTO. John B said, "Bojo has made the statement, now needs to await response. If none forthcoming, then WTO. Bear in mind the gangsters at the EU will always drag things out until the last minute. Stay strong, Boris. The Brexiteers are behind you." And James Skewis saying, still not saying we are ripping up the WA and walking away and from these futile talks. Walk away now. So it's fair to say, Brexiteers, as I am, want to give Boris Johnson the benefit of the doubt, want to believe in the stance that him and Lord Frost have taken all the way through this. But you've got to wait and see what actually happens. Words are one thing, action's quite another. But I think, for the Brexit Party to be up there at 5% in general election polling, close to where the Lib Dems are, shows you that Brexiteer support cannot be taken for granted. And what happens over the next few weeks and months in terms of the outcome of these negotiations with the EU really matters. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments. Let me know whether you're one of these people who's currently looking at the Brexit Party or if you still believe in Boris. Let me know what you want the outcome of these negotiations to be. And of course, if you want to support my work, please click that join button. That helps me do these reports nearly every day now. I doubt you would have heard of this polling elsewhere. So it's because of your support and those that are supporters that I'm able to do these videos nearly every day. If you do find them helpful and informative, please click that join button. And as ever, guys, thank you very much for watching.